to Totalis Rankium. This week, Alexios IV.
Hello, and welcome to Roman Emperors Totalis Rankium. I am Jamie.
And I'm Rob, ranking all of the emperors from Augustus to 20... No, what? Oh, that all went very wrong, didn't it? I was going to say the number 20. Where does that even come into it? I don't know. No, ranking all of the emperors from Augustus to Constantine 11, and this is episode 153.
Yeah, it is.
It's Alexios IV of the Angels. This is obviously the son of Isaac II, who we have seen, and the nephew of Alexios III, who we have just done an episode on.
Splendid.
Didn't end well the last episode, did it?
No, I think embarrassing was bad. On Twitter, they said he was comparable to Jeff, so there we go.
Yes, no, I saw that poll. Yeah. And we're recording this, we're actually getting ahead of the game. We're recording this before Alexios III's episode's even published. A Totalis ranking first.
And that episode was so well received as well. I mean, the amount of applause we got, the awards. We got nominated for a BAFTA, Rob. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. Which all happens behind the scenes before we publish the episode, obviously. Of course. Yeah. Cool. Anyway, so we've ended on a low. I essentially said at the end of the last episode, the Empire has fallen. Yeah. But it was a bit rushed at the end there, wasn't it? What on earth was going on? Why did the crusading army suddenly turn up? Well, why was Alexios IV there? What's going on?
I don't know. I wasn't really listening.
Well, don't worry. It wasn't that you weren't listening. I didn't explain it, Jamie.
Well, that's good.
But today, I will. So we're not going to start with Alexios IV. We are going to start instead having a quick recap of Europe.
The band or the continent?
It was tempting to do the band, it really was. But I figured that's a rabbit hole we don't need to go down. Probably not. So let's look at what's going on in Europe at this point.
I'll get a map up so I know what's going on.
Okay, you get a map up. Or you could just draw one.
I would, but I haven't got a pen or pencil. I'm all digital now. I type and everything.
Oh, all digital. Okay, fair enough.
On a tablet and all sorts. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Multi-screened.
Yes. So I've got a map of Europe, and I found one. It's very brightly coloured.
Nice.
And it's got Turkey on it, so I assume it'll do.
Yeah, that will do. In fact, let's start there, shall we? Let's start with the Roman Empire, since we know that. I'm not going to go into detail here, because obviously that's what we've been covering, but just know it is shrinking. It's shrinking fast. It's being led by weak emperors.
Yes.
Essentially, the Roman Empire that you would just be colouring in with just one colour at this time is modern-day Greece, sort of. Bits of modern-day Turkey and Constantinople.
That's not even an empire. That's just a patch of land.
It really is just falling apart. They do, to be fair, have other areas that they would claim to be in control of, but it's definitely a multicoloured part of the empire, so yeah, we're talking more up into the Bulgars and more into Anatolia there.
Do you know, I never realised Turkey borders Iraq and Iran. That's never...
Oh, did you
I did not know, no.
Yeah, well, that's going into the Caliphate.
Yeah.
That's what that's doing in our time.
And Armenia, Georgia, oh my goodness, it's insane.
Yeah, it goes quite far across as modern-day Turkey, doesn't it?
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, that's quite all right. Anyway, so, shrinking empire, it's not doing very well. Isaac and then his brother Alexios III did nothing really to help, did they? But what else is going on in Europe? Well, obviously, there is another Roman Empire, isn't there? The restored Western Empire. Yeah, well, you remember last episode me telling you that actually the Western Empire is quite strong at the moment. Yeah. Strong enough that Henry, the Western Roman Emperor, was able to threaten our Roman Empire. Yeah. Remember the bushy-eyebrowed envoy coming along demanding
he didn't
cash.
Have eyes, just hair.
Just big eyebrows, Yeah, well, that was true up until Henry died. As soon as Henry died, the whole thing kind of falls apart. The empire splits into warring factions, which the Holy Roman Empire is known to do a lot. So, that's now weak and is falling apart. So with the two Roman empires in disarray, what else is going on? Well, the major powerhouse in Europe for quite some time has been Norman Sicily, but that's gone.
Oh, okay.
That was taken over, long story, which we'll cover perhaps in Series 3, but that was taken over by the Western Empire. So Norman Sicily's gone, so that's not there anymore.
Fair enough.
Richard the Lionheart's just died.
English king.
English king, so that's left England and France in a little bit of a political turmoil, so they're not very strong at this time.
So was I again didn't really listen to X Factor. Was Richard the Lionheart the king of France and England? Was he a dual king?
It's slightly more complex than that, but yes, he was more than the king of modern-day England. Okay. There was areas on the continent that he had control of. Everything's a little bit of a mess. In fact, the only real leader at this time in Europe who had any real power, arguably, was the Pope.
Oh.
And this was a new Pope called Pope Innocent, honestly, the Third.
That'd be great if his actual name.
Often shortened to just Pope Innocent, but yeah.
I mean, that name is just... No. That's hiding name, isn't it? That's hiding something.
It's not a name that inspires confidence, is it?
No. It's like when you're a king, you call yourself the Brave. Like, no, you're not. We saw you with that spider.
Well, anyway, Pope Innocent III had become Pope in 1198, and he had decided that what the West really needed right now was another crusade.
Huzzah, bring everyone together kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's crusade o'clock. Let's do this.
Weirdly, always an hour after gin o'clock. Always odd that.
Yes, it was. Often those two things would coincide. Yeah. But who to lead the crusade?
Well, not Richard.
Well, exactly.
Not Henry either.
Exactly. You're making some very good points there. The people who led the last crusade are just not around anymore. Barbarossa's dead, his son's dead. So, what the Pope needed was some ambitious nobles. And one man answered the call. This is Tybalt of Champagne.
Wow, so Shakespearean and French.
Yes, yeah. Just sat on his champagne farm, drinking champagne until he heard the call of the...
Doesn't Tybalt mean like cat or something? Has it got something to do with cats?
I don't know if the name Tybalt means cats, but he was the prince of cats in Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, maybe he's a giant cat. Who knows?
Maybe he's just got a cat. A butler cat that pours champagne for him.
Oh, does he wear a hat?
Yes, he wears a champagne hat.
Yeah.
Anyway, just so you know, so you can picture him even clearer.
The cat or Tybalt?
Tybalt, but you could put the cat in there as well. Tybalt's brother was known as Henry of Champagne, which is how you had to say their surname. And Henry of Champagne had been the ruler of the kingdom of Jerusalem for a while.
Oh.
He was never actually crowned king of Jerusalem, but he was in charge over there. Unfortunately, Henry of Champagne fell out of a window.
Well, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, I read that and went, well, I now need to know more about that. Yeah. So I dived into it. Two versions. One, he was leaning on a railing on the second floor of a building, and the railing just gave way and he tumbled out and he died.
Absolutely plausible.
Number two, someone walked into the room while he was near the window, and he turned round to say hello to the person and just sort of lost his footing and fell out the window.
Oh, let's go with the first one. Let's give him a bit of dignity.
I mean, the second one sounds less plausible. The second one sounds like something that the person who's just pushed him out the window would say, doesn't it?
That is true.
Yeah. So let's go for the first one. The first one is better as well, because apparently one of the servants also fell out the window, because there were two of them. And apparently Henry of Champagne would have survived if his servant hadn't then landed on top of him.
Yeah, of course. It's like a meat missile.
Yes.
Ooh.
Because imagine him hitting the ground, groaning, "It's okay, I'm all..."
Yeah. Oh, thank goodness. Praise be to God, I've survived. Oh, my God.
So anyway, Henry's dead. Henry of Champagne's dead. But his brother, Tybalt, he's got Crusader blood in him, and he's got the right to be over there, he figures. He's also, by the way, the grandson of Louis VII, and he was related to Richard the Lionheart as well. So, I mean, he really does come from Crusader stock here. So, there you go. That's the man who's going to be leading the Fourth Crusade.
Fair enough.
Talking of Richard the Lionheart, before his death, he had pointed out that if any new crusades should happen to pop up, what they should do next time is focus on the weakest part of the Islamic world. And in this case, that meant invading Egypt. Richard's idea was go into Egypt first, establish a base, and then push up into the Holy Land.
I imagine Egypt at this time is not the strongest place in the world.
It has been strong within our podcast relatively recently, but yeah, Egypt's a bit weak politically at the moment. So those people who heard this suggestion thought it was a very sensible plan. So the likes of Tybalt, who was organising the crusade, decided, yeah, you know what, let's do this. Let's go to Egypt. However, there's a slight problem with this. You're raising troops to go and retake the Holy Land, and then you tell them, oh, actually, we're going to Egypt instead.
That's not very holy, they would say.
Yeah. I mean, the age of the crusade had been going on for quite some time now, and the propaganda that went with it was fully embedded. Everyone knew the reason why you went on a crusade was to reclaim the Holy Land, and that meant your soul was safe forever.
Hooray.
Oh, and who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll make some cash on the way. But it's definitely the soul thing. It's the soul thing we're doing it for, not the cash.
Definitely. Why have you got a big bag that says swag on the side, Jeff?
I thought it said soul. I can't read. Yeah. So if we go to Egypt for the cash, I mean that's great. But can we really claim it's about souls anymore? Probably not. That just sounds like invasion, and we're not invading.
Of course not.
It's a Holy Crusade.
Yeah, that'd be against God if we invaded.
So, Tybalt and the other leaders came up with an ingenious plan. They just weren't going to tell anyone where they were going.
Right. So we're heading to Jerusalem, and all the generals like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, idiots.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're just going to cross the Mediterranean Sea. That's probably a quicker way, sir. I mean,
well, no, going through the Mediterranean makes sense. Going to the Holy Land. I mean, that's how Richard had done it. With his army in the last crusade.
And they don't have GPS, they're not going to know, are they?
If someone put me on a boat in Italy and then I turned up on the shore of Egypt, I don't think I would be confident enough to say, hang on, this isn't Palestine. I'd be going, fair enough, looks hot.
I mean, the Egyptian flags would probably give some of it away nowadays.
That might give it. And the pyramids.
Yes, yeah.
And all the mummies walking around.
And the welcome to... The Welcome to Egypt gift shop.
Yes, but they'll cross that bridge when they get there, thinks Tybalt. It's fine. We just won't tell anyone for now. Especially when we're rounding up troops. Once we're underway, we can let them know it's a change of plan or something. It'll be fine. Anyway, you, of course, make a good point in that you're going to have to cross the Mediterranean to get to Egypt. So how do you get across the Mediterranean?
In a boat.
Yes, you need a lot of boats. Well, where's the best place to hire a fleet? Venice would be the best place to hire a fleet.
Are they still a powerhouse at the moment?
Oh, very, very much so. We're talking almost peak powerhouse of Venice here. They are very rich. They are dominating the area, along with various other city-states that are popping up in the region. But yeah, Venice, very powerful at this time, and they have a doge at the moment. This doge is a character of the age, shall we say. His name was Enrico Dandolo.
That sounds very Italian. That sounds wonderful.
Doesn't it? Yeah. Enrico Dandolo was at least in his mid-70s, maybe in his 80s, and he was completely blind. And apparently he was a force to be reckoned with. You didn't mess with the old blind man.
Why are you wearing red? How does he know?
I mean, he keeps saying how he's blind, but he can see everything.
He just caught a fly with chopsticks.
Yeah, apparently it's a bit like that. Envoys were sent to Enrico Dandolo. Can we, asked Tybalt, get enough ships to transport around 4,500 knights and around 20,000 footmen? Please.
It's a lot of gondolas.
But no problem, said Venice. They knew how to build a gondola back then. So, yeah, that will be 84,000 silver pieces. Thank you very much. But you know what? We're throwing an extra 50 ships with our own men in, free of charge.
Interesting.
Which is nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Are you sure? Anything you want in return for that? Oh, yeah. We'll have 50% of everything that you capture over there.
See, I don't think that's an unfair thing to ask for. I mean, you know, we're all this manpower and stuff, all this effort, and yes, we're getting you to pay, but with Venice we can do that, and you know, we want more because we're Venice and we can ask for it.
Exactly. So, deal, says Tybalt's man. Yeah, fair enough. It's now a joint venture, this crusade. You have the crusading Frankish troops led by Tybalt, and now Venice are going to get involved as well. Wonderful. However, as Tybalt's envoys leave and go back to Champagne, they all said that as they were leaving.
Champagne!
I mean, if you're going to live anywhere, it's the best place to go home to, isn't it?
That is true, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder when champagne was first, like the drink was first created. What was it?
At this time, Tybalt's just invented it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, it was actually his cat, but his cat didn't want credit.
Well, of course, cat's, very, very...
The cat's very much Puss in Boots style character. That's what its cat's
Nice.
like. Anyway, let all the envoys go back to Champagne. They're holding their champagne glasses in the air as they're running through the streets, rushing home as they do it. So let them go over the Alps.
And because it's the proper champagne glasses, not the modern crappy ones. They're all like little cones, like ice cream cones, the proper round ones.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Marie
The
Antoinette
really low
boob ones.
Yeah, really low basin-y type ones. Oh, yeah, definitely. Designed perfectly so you spill your drink every time you even look at your glass. Yeah. So as the envoys are running through the streets with them raised above their heads, the champagne's going all over the place. Yeah. But it's great. Yeah. They're having a great time. Anyway, they're gone. They're over the Alps. Stay in Venice. An advisor comes up to the Doge and says something along the lines of, "Sire, don't we have envoys in Egypt at the moment discussing a very profitable trade deal?" "Oh, yes, we do," says Enrico, probably. "And isn't part of that deal that we very much want, isn't part of that deal us agreeing never to take part in any attack of Egypt?" I imagine the Doge turns with a smile and says, "Oh, don't worry, we won't be attacking Egypt."
Ooh.
And then he slowly smiled and just said the word champagne.
Would you care for a glass of champagne?
Yeah. So, it would appear that Enrico's plan was to leak the destination of the crusade, figuring that the rank and file would demand that they go directly to Jerusalem instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spanner in the works.
Didn't work.
Oh, okay.
Enrico might be a force to be reckoned with, but this plan didn't work. Rather than demand a change in destination, most of the rank and file decided, well, let's just not go then, if it's Egypt. So, several months later, the day finally comes where the Frankish forces pull up outside Venice, waiting to board the ships. And there was an embarrassingly low number of men who turned up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
That one's a scarecrow. That's definitely a scarecrow.
Damn it. Oh, and 2 of them are Jess. No.
Oh.
It's like minus 12 there.
Yeah, less than a third of what was expected turned up.
Oh dear.
And yes, that's embarrassing, but far more importantly, the people who were not turning up also included the nobles. They were the ones who were supposed to be paying for the ships.
Yo.
Yeah. They owe 84,000 coins of silver. Tybalt could not afford to pay the Doge. Now, there are 2 main reasons why Tybalt can't afford to pay the Doge at this point. The first reason is, obviously, the nobles aren't there, so he can't raise the money from the nobles, but there's a more pressing reason for Tybalt personally, and that's because he's dead.
Well, they'll put a down on things.
Yeah, he died shortly before the troops met up in Venice.
Did he fall out of a window as well?
It doesn't say, but let's say he did.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's very common in his family.
I reckon it was the cat.
Oh, it's always the cat.
Because the cat has he has all the deeds to the champagne farm.
Yeah. That cat's definitely wearing Tybalt's boots now.
Yes.
So.
And his hat.
Oh, and his hat, yeah. Anyway, so the crusade had been taken over. Instead of Tybalt running the show, it was now being ran by a man named the Marquis Boniface of Montferrat.
Boniface.
Yeah, or Boniface. As we've come across a Boniface before, but not for quite some time. It was nice to see the old Boniface name come back.
We pronounce it Bonaparte, don't we? Bonaparte. So.
Oh, that's a very good point. That's a similar name. I wonder if there was a link between those names.
Boniface, but
Boniface, that's what it's called.
It's Beardface, damn it.
So anyway, Boniface is there. He's in charge, and he is the one who cannot afford to pay Enrico. So that's a shame. And look, the fleet's right there. It's a very impressive-looking fleet. Venice had done a damn good job building this fleet.
All the guys on the back with their big long sticks ready to push and go.
Yeah, they're already. There's hurdy-gurdies? Is that what they're called? People are about to sing.
Yeah.
There's ice cream shops being set up and everything. It is about to launch, but they just cannot pay for it. So Bonyface, faced with this problem, spent a while scraping together as much money as he could. I mean, basically emptying out his own coffers, getting everyone that was there to really pay as much as they could. They eventually managed to put all of their combined wealth together. They looked at it, and they had 34,000 silver pieces.
And he had 80, didn't he?
Yeah, 84.
Oh.
They're a bit short. Eventually, at this point, Doge Enrico, sure that he could squeeze no more out of the Franks, came along with an offer. A Venetian city, Zara, has recently fallen to the Hungarians. All very annoying. Tell you what, if you help us take the city back, we'll call it quits and then go a crusading.
Nice.
Pope Innocent back in Rome hears about this and was outraged. He wrote to Bonyface, no way, we're not a bunch of mercenaries, we're a holy army. We're not selling ourselves out to the highest bidder to take cities in Europe. Yeah. However, once Roger arrived in Venice, there was no one there. The Franks and the Venetians had gone to Zara.
Like everyone in the city?
Yeah.
Oh.
Roger had to fill in the "sorry, we missed you."
Oh, the red card, yeah.
Yeah.
Put under just a random door.
Yeah, so there you go. Bonyface obviously was leading the Frankish troops, and the ancient Enrico personally led his. No staying at home for this nearly 80-year-old. Oh no, he's leading the troops.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Let's go this way, men. Are you quite sure, sir?
Yeah, when I say a force to be reckoned with, I mean, he really was. He dressed up in armour, he led troops, he did not slow down at all. Yeah. Anyway, the city was soon taken, short version of that. The Franks and the Venetians, however, then started to argue over the spoils. Fighting broke out between the two armies. Eventually, it was fine. They essentially drew a line down the middle of the city and agreed to stay in their halves over winter, because winter was approaching, so let's winter here. And then crusade. In fact, I'll quote here, "Let us divide it in the midst, and we will take one half, and you the other," said Enrico, making sure that his half was the one with the docks.
Yeah.
Because it's just useful to have the docks.
It is.
You guys can stay at the back over there.
Yeah.
Back in Rome, by the way, Pope Innocent excommunicated the entire army.
Nice.
So a good start to the crusade. The Holy Army is excommunicated.
Oh.
Yeah. And then a letter arrived in Zara for Bonyface from a man named Philip. Philip was the son of Frederick Barbarossa, the old Western Roman Emperor. He was the brother of Henry, the other old Western Roman Emperor.
Dead one.
So we're talking, we're talking member of royalty in the West here. Not only that, Philip, due to a marriage, was also the son-in-law to the now blind and monked Isaac II Angelos.
Oh, yes.
Interesting. And Philip had an interesting guest show up. None other than Isaac II's son and rightful heir to the throne of the Romans, Alexios IV. That's where we're going to come away from that narrative, and let's start Alexios IV's episode properly, shall we?
Right.
And then we'll catch back up to this point quite quickly, as you will see. So, Alexios IV, born in around 1182. Alexios was the son of Isaac and his first wife, who, interestingly, by the way, I noticed was a Paleologos. So
That's that upcoming family.
So they're knocking around at this time. This was when Andronicus Komnenos was heading to the city to take it over. So Alexios IV therefore would have been a baby when his grandfather, Daddy Angelos, as we've been calling him, defected to Andronicus' side. He would have been around 2 years old when his father, his uncle and grandfather had to flee on the wine boat.
Boat.
Yeah, I'm guessing Alexios IV was with other family members.
Yeah.
It makes little sense that he would have been there during
He's
the
too young to drink.
Exactly. Then the siege of Nicaea happens. There's no mention of Alexios at this point. He's still very much a small child. He was either within the city with his dad, Isaac II, as Isaac helped lead the city, Or maybe he was staying with his grandmother when she was sent for by Andronikos and tied up onto the battering ram. So
Yes.
who knows? We don't know. But all that's going on. Either way, he's too young to care. He's a little child. He would have been around 4 years old when a man turned up at his house shouting his father's name, with a lot of scary-looking men, and perhaps he even watched his father sneak into the stables and then charge out, embedding his sword into the head of the shouting man as he passed. Yeah, obviously all this covered in Isaac's episode, because then Isaac coups and becomes emperor, and little Alexios IV found himself heir to the Roman Empire at the age of 4.
Yeah.
And then we get nothing on him at all. He would have been educated, he would have been well looked after. Maybe he shadowed his father just to get to grips with the job. We've seen that before.
Yeah.
Maybe he was put in part of the palace and he was left to it. We've also seen that. We just don't know. The fact that he's not mentioned, possibly more likely the latter.
Who's in charge of frescoes?
Maybe he was. 10 years go by. He's 14 now. And his uncle Alexios III poses his father and then has his father blinded.
Oh. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Nice. What a guy.
Alexios IV was thrown in prison.
So he'd have been 4, 5, 6?
14.
Oh, yeah,
14,
you
10
say,
years
yeah.
has passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's around 14. He's thrown into prison by his uncle.
That'd be annoying.
That is annoying, isn't it? Now, interestingly, we move away from Nicetas as our main source, and we have been working pretty much exclusively from Nicetas for quite a few episodes now, but, interestingly, we get a snippet from a Russian source at this time, from an unknown author who just covers what happens next in slightly more detail. So we're going to jump over to this source here. After a while, Isaac too spoke to his brother and asked him to release his son. It's like, come on, the kid's not done anything. I understand you overthrew me and you blinded me, but why are you taking it out on my kid? Yeah. So let him go. He'll swear oaths, he'll do whatever you want. He won't plot against you. Just let him out. It's not fair. Now, Alexios III apparently was convinced by this, as we saw last episode. Alexios apparently was very mild-mannered, and according to Nicetas, also often regretted blinding his brother. So,
whoops.
Yeah.
Sorry, Isaac.
Yeah. So, okay, fair enough. He can come out. Alexios IV was free. He was put into the court. Now, obviously, Alexios III is not an idiot, so a close eye was kept on Alexios IV. But he is technically free, but there's always a couple of men just nearby. Yeah. Chains and
Sack.
Gertie.
Gertie.
Chains and Sack. Gertie, yeah. Just to make sure you're safe. That's what they were.
For your protection.
Make sure. Exactly. Meanwhile, in the monastery, Isaac too's starting to think that actually this isn't on. I've thought about this. I'm a little bit ticked off with my brother. So, he made some contacts with some people and a plan was made. One day, and annoyingly we don't get the details here, Alexios IV was smuggled onto a ship that was docked in the palace docks. Once on the ship, he climbs into a barrel. Meanwhile, his guard noticed that he's missing. I mean, Chains and Gertie look around. Oh, hang on, where's the kid? Yeah. Oh dear, we best go and tell the Emperor we've lost the kid. So, Alexios III orders a search, and soon enough, the basics of the plan were figured out. The only place he really could have gone was that ship down in the docks. That makes sense.
That one ship with the one barrel on. Let's check there.
Well, let's board the ship. Let's go through. Let's take it apart. Let's search every nook and cranny. So the guards entered the hold. They looked around at all these conveniently large barrels all over the place. Yeah. It was just a room full of barrels and wardrobes and like low chests and
mannequins.
Loads of mannequins, yeah exactly. A couple of statues, just full-length costumes.
Yes.
Dangling from the ceiling.
It's a very odd room. Very dark. But
it's very...
The occasional flash of light from random sources.
Yeah. Smoke machine, bizarrely. But it's like, fine, we're going to have to search the room. So they did. They go past every single barrel, they pull out the bung out of every single barrel, and one by one, water starts to come out. You obviously need to take a lot of drinking water with you on the ships. So, water's in that one. Yeah, water's in that one. They go down all of the barrels, all of them have water in. Okay, they replace all of the bungs. They search the rest of the ship. They keep poking all the mannequins. There's nothing there. Eventually, they come to the realisation that they must have made a mistake. The kid's not on here. fine. So, they let the ship go.
Right.
And a very relieved Alexios IV probably let out a sigh.
As he was drowning in a big water barrel.
Well, how was this done?
Was he on a different boat? Is it that simple?
Oh, nice. The old film trick.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it wasn't that.
One of those you're going for the sensory tanks. You just kind of, where IMAX and thing just like floats around for a bit. Like a fetus.
No. You get the impression that they tested to see if the barrels were full, and they were full. Was
he in a food barrel?
No, he was in a water barrel. But he was in a special water barrel that had been cleverly designed.
Did he... Did it just... No. Did it have, was it a double-layered water barrel?
Oh, yes, you totally got it. The barrel looks just like any normal barrel, but it was divided in two in the middle. The bottom half, therefore, could be empty and the top half could be filled with water. So if you took the bung out, you'd see that the water's full. It's there.
That must have been specially made then?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a random... It had a reason for it. It's just to hype people.
Yeah, exactly. So, he's free. Alexios IV has escaped, and he has a destination in mind, because his sister had married the son of Barbarossa and the brother of Henry. So he would go to the Western Empire and ask for help. Now, we leave our Russian source there, and we now go to a Frankish historian. This Frankish historian is also a knight who took part in the Fourth Crusade. He was also the Marshal of Champagne, so he was very well placed to see all the events that was going on. He is one of the main sources of the Fourth Crusade, and his name is Jeff.
What?
I mean, technically it's Geoffrey of Vierhaldoun, however you pronounce that.
We've got a historical Jeff.
Jeff is not just the source, he was taking part in the events as well.
Oh my goodness.
We have a Jeff up close and personal with the story.
This is a real Jeff. Oh, this is going to drive the Jeff historians insane.
Oh, it really is. I mean, yeah.
Work this one out.
So, apparently, Alexios IV found himself in Verona at this point.
Where we lay our scene.
Yeah, maybe we went to see Tybalt's corpse.
Yeah.
Lay in the tomb.
Yep.
It's like there was some young lady and a young lad on the slab nearby. Didn't know what was going on there.
Weird. What the hell's going on?
That was very weird. Just ignored that.
Hello, Mercutio.
Anyway.
Oh wait, you're dead as well.
What's going on in this city?
Full of emos and goths.
Anyway, once he was in Verona, apart from the tensions in the city between the two warring families, he also noticed a lot of pilgrims heading towards Venice. Oh, what's going on there? He asked his attendants, because apparently he had attendants by this point. I'm not sure what barrels they were in, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe the same one.
Yeah, really cramped in. And I can quote what was said to him at this time, apparently. "Sire, there is an army in Venice, quite near to us, the best and most valiant people and knights that there are in the world, and they are going overseas. Cry to them, therefore, for mercy, that they have pity on thee and thy father, who have been so wrongfully dispossessed. And if they be willing to help thee, thou shalt be guided by them. Perchance they will take pity on thy estate."
That sounded very Shakespearean.
Yeah, I mean, they were in Verona,
yeah, well,
so
of course.
When is Romeo and Juliet set? We're probably not actually that far.
It's probably about this time, I imagine.
Probably only about 300 years off. In my head, it's always in like the 1500s.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've got that. But yeah, we're not that far off. Anyway, Alexios agreed. Let's go to Venice. Let's see if they can help. So he selected a couple of men to be his envoys, and they sought to meet up with the leader of the crusading army, the Marquis Boniface. So, there we go, we've caught up with the story. Notice how the two sources claim different people approached Boniface. It was either Philip writing him a letter, or it was Alexios IV sending envoys. Although there's another version that has it where Alexios actually met Boniface in the court of Philip before Boniface even reached Venice. So this was all plotted out beforehand, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. The message is the same. If you help me get rid of my uncle, said Alexios IV, I'll do what I can to help your crusade. So soon enough, some details were started to be ironed out, and it soon became very clear to Boniface and the Doge Enrico that they had struck the mother lode here.
Yep.
Because the kid was willing to give anything. You get the impression the negotiations went something along the lines of, okay, if we put you on the throne, Alexios, you'll have to pay for the entire crusade into Egypt. Okay, says Alexios.
Really?
Oh, okay. And you need to add 10,000 soldiers to our forces. Yeah, fine, done, says Alexios. And 500 knights? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And once the invasion's over, you'll have to pay for the upkeep of those knights for the rest of the year.
Polish them, put them away every night.
Yeah, absolutely fine, says Alexios, as long as you make me emperor. And at this point, you get the feeling they just went for it. And they just went, just say it, see what he does. The entire Eastern Church would have to formally be part of the Western Church. The Patriarch would be below the Pope.
Oh, see, that's quite a big concession, isn't it? It's culturally so different.
That is a big jump.
Yeah.
I mean, they were asking a lot before, but this is insanely big.
This hits on the people in the street kind of thing.
Yeah, I imagine a few people in the room held their breath. Yeah, fine, whatever, says Alexios. You get the impression Alexios did not spend those 10 years where we don't know much about him studying history.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, dear.
So I imagine Boniface and Enrico kind of look at each other, which unnerved Boniface slightly because Enrico was meant to be blind, but...
Pulls his sunglasses down, looks over the rim at him. Huh?
Fair enough. Excellent. And they all shook hands. This is going to be fun. Right, the Venetians were more than happy to attack those damn Greek Romans. I mean, the Eastern Empire had been annoying the Venetians for quite some time now. So, yeah, we're happy to attack. The Franks were less keen. The rank and file in the Frankish army, yet again, it's like, this still doesn't sound like a holy crusade. This still sounds like attacking fellow Christians. I mean, yes, the weird Christians, but they're still Christians, aren't they? So, yeah. Should we be doing this? Yeah. So, some Franks just left for the Holy Land on their own, which you can only guess how their story ended. But most stayed. I mean, after all, who hadn't heard of the mother of all cities and the amazing wealth that could be found in Constantinople? Worth a look, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of on the way. Isn't it? So, soon after, Alexios turns up in Zara, the city that Enrico and Boniface were, and he was declared emperor.
Boniface?
And then the host... No, Alexios IV.
Okay, thank goodness.
And then the host set off to the capital of the Romans. They took various cities on the way, but they met no resistance whatsoever. If you remember back in the last episode of Alexios III was just putting his head in the sand at this point and pretending it wasn't happening. So, the Franks and the Venetians essentially sail up to Constantinople, because in 1202 the fleet arrives. And I will quote... Now you may know that those who have never before seen Constantinople looked upon it very earnestly, for they never thought that there could be in all the world so rich a city. And they marked the high walls and the strong towers that enclosed it round about, and the rich palaces, and the mighty churches, of which there were so many that no one could have believed it who had not seen it with their own eyes. And be it known to you that no man there was of such hardihood, but his flesh trembled. And it was no wonder, for never was so great an enterprise undertaken by any people since the creation of the world. In other words, damn good walls.
So bricky.
It's an impressive city. They'd never seen anything like it. They thought that the cities in Italy were grand. This just bleeped all over anything they'd ever seen before. Anyway, Alexios IV, around 20 by this time, by the way, was paraded in front of the walls. Here's your emperor. And soon an envoy arrived from Alexios III, his uncle, to deliver a message to Boniface and Enrico. The message went like this. The Emperor Alexios III marvels much why and for what purpose you have come into his land and kingdom. For you are Christians, and he is a Christian. And while he knows that you are on your way to deliver the Holy Land overseas, if you're poor and in want, he will right willingly give you his food and substance, providing that you depart out of his land. Neither would he otherwise wish to do you any hurt, though he has full power therein, seeing that if you were 20 times as numerous as you are, you would not be able to get away, if so be that he wished to harm you. fighting
Yeah,
words.
definitely.
Yeah, you get the feeling that they're not actually Alexios III's words.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You get the feeling someone in the palace went, just go out and say this. Say the Emperor said this.
Yes, it's fine. It's like when Trump gave those speeches that were kind of coherent. It's like, you didn't write this.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, the old blind Enrico got to his feet.
And everyone gasped and backed away.
The envoys probably just thought he was an old blind man in the corner, but oh no, here he is. He probably did that fall that Willy Wonka does at the start of the film.
Then pulled out a sword as he rolled and just sliced the head off.
Well, apparently he said this: "Into the Emperor's land we have not entered, for he holds this land wrongfully and wickedly, and against God and against reason. It belongs to his nephew, who sits upon a throne among us, and he is the son of his brother, the Emperor Isaac. But if he is willing to throw himself on the mercy of his nephew, and to give him back his crown and empire, then we will pray to his nephew to forgive him. And if you come not as the bearer of such a message, then be not so bold as to come here again."
Nice.
Yeah. So, negotiations are off. The fighting begins, which we covered in the last episode. The Franks attack from land, the Venetians by sea, because that makes sense. Over 10 days the assault took place. According to Jeff the historian, the standout part of the assault was not the final breaching of the wall, which we've covered. In fact, it was breached in a couple of places. But the actions of Enrico, at least 80 by this point. He stood, fully armed, on the prow of his galley. He had the standard of St. Mark before him, and he cried to his people to put him on land, or else he would do justice upon their bodies with his hands. And so they did.
He does sound like quite a scary guy.
He really does, doesn't he? He's there threatening his own men. It's like, point me in the direction of battle, or so help me God.
I will kill every one of you with my bare hands.
Yeah. So, as we've seen, the walls were breached. Part of the city was set on fire. Alexios III rallies slightly and comes out to fight, but then, as we've seen, gets cold feet and then just runs. The first Enrico, Boniface and Alexios IV hear about this is when a messenger arrives. The emperor has fled. What do you want to do? So they decide, well, let's send some envoys into the city just to make sure, because this could be a trap.
Just in
Who should we send in? Jeff, stop writing. Put on your suit of armour. Go into the city and see what's going on. So Jeff and several other envoys go into the city. The gates open, and there stood the Varangian Guard. At this time made up of Danes and Englishmen, so Vikings and people in tweed.
Tally-ho! Onward, brave men!
They led Jeff and the other envoys right up to the palace, and there in the throne room, sitting on the throne, was Isaac II, restored.
Oh, twist!
Twist. Now, if you remember back to Isaac's episode, I did say it's like he kind of does something else, but
yeah,
this is no Justinian II, as you're going to see. It's like, there was no way he was getting any more points, and I didn't want to ruin all of the last two episodes by quickly covering it in Isaac's episode. So, but there you go. Isaac II's back on the throne. What they had done inside the city was realise Alexios III had done a runner. Well, how can we stop the army from invading? Quick, let's put the father of the person who is outside the gates on the throne, and maybe that will calm everyone down.
He wouldn't dare attack his own father. That never happens in Roman history.
Exactly.
Said one man to another.
Yeah, anyway, Jeff spoke to Isaac. This Jeff had a deep and powerful voice, the kind of voice that is respected. I mean, everyone's a bit confused in the palace because this looks like a Jeff. He's called Jeff, but he sounds like
he wears the flag of Jeff, but
it sounds like he knows what he's talking about, and he keeps writing things down. What's going on?
He can write.
Yeah, essentially, what Jeff said was that he was there on behalf of Boniface and Enrico, and that they were seeking that Isaac agreed with the terms that Isaac's son had given. Well, what terms did my son give? Asked Isaac.
Fair question.
Well, says Jeff, to begin with, you're going to put the entire Empire of Romania under the obedience of Rome.
Unification.
Yeah.
Reunification.
I mean, it's been separated for a while. So, one empire, one emperor.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Oh, and also 200,000 marks of silver, by the way. Oh, and enough food for the army to eat for a year. We'll have 10,000 men. We want some horses and some food. Just imagining it fading out at this point because the list just went on. But the first...
3 ducks called Jeffrey.
Yeah, the first thing on the list would have been what everyone heard, and after that it probably just was a high-pitched sort of...
Yeah.
Because here was an envoy speaking on behalf of a fractured Western Empire. Remember, the Western Empire is not doing great. It's infighting at the moment, so they're hardly a powerhouse themselves. But they were strong enough to demand that the Eastern Empire unconditionally surrender.
Wow.
Isaac's not happy, but what can he do? Anyway, Jeff turns to leave, and just one more thing. He pulls a Columbo.
Yes.
Your
coat on and everything.
Your son's co-emperor, and the one we will be listening to. Goodbye. Yeah, Alexios IV was crowned on August the 1st of 1203.
So are they joint emperors, or...?
Technically, yes, this is the reign of Isaac II, restored, and his son Alexios IV. But as you will see... in fact, no, I'm not even going to say it, because you will just see. Anyway, dark days were ahead for the city, as you can imagine. The puppet emperor, Alexios, introduces very heavy taxes. The churches then were raided for all their wealth, and the wealth was melted down and sent to Rome. The citizens were outraged. The church was beyond furious. Everyone's very, very angry. The Franks stayed over that winter, as did the Venetians, and you can imagine the tensions there. At one point, some of the Frankish troops burnt down a synagogue. They were on a crusade, after all. And one of the less talked about things about the crusade is just how awfully Jewish people were treated by the crusading armies as they passed through the towns and the cities. Yeah. So, synagogue burnt down. The fire spread. This was a big, big fire. Arguably one of the biggest in all of Roman history. We are talking up there with Nero's fire in Rome or Justinian's fire near the start of season 2. Big fire. In fact, I quote, "The fire waxed so great and horrible that no man could put it out or abate it." That was Jeff speaking there. Then Nicetas said, because Nicetas he's not letting any Jeff out-describe him.
Elbow Jeff in the face. Well, what he meant was...
"The flames rose unbelievably high above the ground throughout the night. The next day, and the following evening as they spread everywhere, it was a novel sight, defying the power of description. But I will carry on describing it." Nothing could stand before those flames. Even more extraordinary was the fact the burning embers detached themselves from this roaring and raging fire and consumed buildings at a great distance. Neither the baked brick nor the deep-set foundations could withstand the heat, and everything within was consumed like candle wicks. And at that point, Jeff the historian just nudges him out the way, goes to speak, but he's rugby tackled to the ground.
Yes, like a dragon!
But what of Alexios? What's he up to?
Well, if anything, so far as to be a barometer by, nothing.
In the face of these most horrendous events, both the Emperor Isakios and his son Alexios were not in the least appalled. They prayed for the end of all things, these firebrands of the country, flaming in visage, thus personifying the incendiary angel of evil.
Nice.
So, not good. Once the flames were put out, short version of that. It took a while, but the flames were eventually put out. The city is...
No, I like to think it's as quick as you said it. It's like, sorted. Move on.
So someone turned a tap on. It was fine. The city was a smouldering ruin. The citizens had no money because they were being heavily taxed, and there were invading soldiers all over the place. So not a good time to be in the city. Alexios and his father at this time decided that they needed to do something about Alexios III. Remember, Alexios III's on the run. He did a runner. You can't have an ex-emperor on the run. That's he could come back.
Yeah.
What could we do? At this point, Bonyface happens to appear. Oh, my army could go and track him down. No problem. For a fee. So, Alexios sets off with Bonyface and the Franks to charge down his uncle. After a couple of months, they return. They didn't manage to get his uncle, but they did lots of general fighting and making sure the locals know who was in charge now. Good. And after a couple of months, they returned to the capital to find that Isaac had been very busy hanging anyone he thought was linked to his overthrow. So, that wasn't good. It was tense in the city, as you can imagine.
But it would be, wouldn't it?
And then things between father and son start to deteriorate. Isaac resented the fact that he did not have as much power as his son, and that his son essentially had given the empire away. Always a bit awkward. Alexios...
Yeah, doesn't bode well.
Alexios resented the fact that he was not seen as a returning hero. In fact,
I want my triumph.
There was a lot of booing going on whenever he was seen. So he started spending more and more time with those who seemed to appreciate him. Bonyface and Enrico, or rather, not them, they were very important people, you don't want to, disturb them. But the nobles under Bonyface and Enrico thought the Emperor of the Romans. I'll go and hang out with them. Apparently he would play games of dice with them in the evening, and it was all fun. There was some gentle mocking occasionally, between friends, laughing with, not at. One time it's really funny, they took off his crown and they put a woolly hat on him. It was really funny.
Respect is so important.
It really is, yeah.
As a king and a leader.
Yeah, so whilst he's being mocked by lesser nobles from the west...
Everyone!
His father is going slightly mad inside the palace. He's convinced that he will be the emperor who unites East and West, and that he would soon see again. He starts getting angry at people who says that he's definitely blind.
Sir, your retinas are literally scorched. We don't have any.
Well, things then get worse. The population were almost in open revolt. As you can imagine, they're not very happy. One commander at this time, obviously called Alexios, but to differentiate him, we will call him Alexios Ducas.
Nice.
Alexios Ducas attempted to lead a charge against the Latin forces. It's like, we can't just sit here and let them take over the city. We need to do something. But this goes nowhere. Alexios IV hears about this and orders the men to stand down. No, can't happen. Alexios then heard that all of the bishops and high-up members of the church were meeting in the Hagia Sophia to decide what to do.
That's a meeting you really want to be a part of, isn't it?
Yeah. Apparently, according to his little spy, they had all agreed that the emperor needed to go, but at the moment they were not nominating anyone to replace Alexios, because they knew full well that as soon as they said a name, that man would just be assassinated.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a coup going down in the Hagia Sophia. That's what's happening.
And quite an obvious one as well.
Yeah. Nicetas was in there, by the way. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Knowing through bitter experience the obstinance of men, we kept our silence, and in our unhappiness we let many tears flow down our cheeks, foreseeing what the future likely held in store for us. It was not a fun meeting, apparently. It's like the emperor needs to go, but who's going to do it? Oh, we're all going to die, aren't we? We are all going to die.
I'm just here taking notes, I'm sorry.
Well, the emperor, Alexios, then does what he knows he has to do. There's a coup attempt going on in the Hagia Sophia. There's only one thing to do. That is go and see Bonyface.
Yeah. Boniface, damn it, he said.
They're trying to go against me. What do I do? It's fine, said Bonyface. Why don't you, Alexios, invite my troops into the palace to guard you?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That night, Alexios IV was awoken by none other than Alexios Ducas. There were men at the gates with axes, said Alexios Ducas. They've come to kill you, sire. We need to get out of here. Alexios got up, was covered in a large robe to try and hide him, and then led into a quiet place in the palace.
Was it the jail?
It was the jail. Yes, it was. Yes. He was seized and put in iron chains. At that point, he was force-fed poison. Twice. Yeah. First time, it didn't work.
Second time?
Didn't work. Yeah. Apparently, Alexios had been taking antidotes as a precaution. So the poison wasn't effective.
Was that the whole microdosing thing? Where
Yeah,
you just take a
yeah,
little
exactly.
bit of poison, hope for the best?
So Alexios Doukas, I mean, this is a head-scratcher, isn't it? Oh, the guy can't be killed by poison. I know. Let's just strangle him with a bowstring. So they do. Oh, and Isaac too, tragically, found himself dead by morning. Yeah. I mean, who knows how that happened? Accidents happen. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So
I mean, swords fall from the ceiling all the time.
all the time. So that's Isaac II and Alexios IV dead. And the empire has a new emperor, Alexios V Doukas.
Hooray.
And he's going to win the empire back off the Latins. Actually, if you know the story, you'll realise that I've simplified the ending there slightly. Again, things are all very complex and moving parts at this point, and I'm trying to make everything as clear as possible. So you'll see there's a bit more detail to Alexios IV's death in Alexios V's episode, but nothing that would change his score. So I've just simplified it. But yeah, they're dead, and you've got the Crusader armies inside the city, but you've got a rebellion, a revolt, someone standing up against them. Do you think he's going to be successful?
Yes.
Cool. Right. Well, we'll have to see in his episode, because now we need
we
need to rank Alexios IV.
Yeah.
Fightius Maximus.
Well, he gets nothing here, does he?
Absolutely not.
No. I mean, no.
No.
I mean, technically, you could argue the forces he was with were the first to breach the walls of Constantinople. I mean, that's impressive, isn't it? But he was being used as a puppet by those forces. It's not his forces.
It's silly to assume that just because he was there, hasn't been watching from the sides, means he.
Yes, I don't think
defeating it.
And we can give Boniface and Enrico points. Yeah, but no,
Absolutely not.
0. Next.
Approbium Crasium.
I haven't even written these down because I don't feel the need to.
No, there's nothing.
No.
We don't get any stories. I mean, just occurred to me though. I was thinking Crasium. He does nothing crazy. He sold the empire.
He did sell the empire. That's a very good point.
He
did.
That's opprobrium coming out of your ears. That's. Yeah, that was me thinking. No, nothing. There's no crazy here. It's like, oh no, hang on. He gave the empire away
in a very almost flippant way. Like,
yeah, fine, whatever. Yeah.
He's thinking short term. He's not a long. He's thinking
really
the big picture.
So now I'm thinking he deserves a lot of points in this round.
I think you might be right. No one sold the empire before. People have bought the empire.
Yeah, people have tried to...
Didius, bless him.
Yeah, people have tried to buy and sell the office of emperor, but... I mean...
the actual empire.
Yeah, including the church. I mean, that's... All of a sudden, he's getting points in this round, and quite a few of them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give him full marks, because I need some personal crazy in there that he's not got. But I'm going to go for 7 for selling the empire.
I was going to say 8, because I think, he sold a bloody empire.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
I'm going for 8.
Yeah.
You're sticking at 7?
Yeah, I'll stick with 7.
Okay, so that's a total of 15. He's doing well.
It's doing well.
Successus Ultimus.
Is this when we finally break into minus numbers?
Yeah, 0.
It's definitely 0.
Yeah.
Tempted to give him minus 10.
Yeah, 0.
You're right.
We can't break the format in the last.
We've only got
third of the.
We've only got 15 episodes left, so we really can't. We can't break the format now, can we? You're right, 0. But it is a hard 0. I'm going to put it in bold on its card. Seriously, 0. I mean, this.
Do it squared. 0 squared.
Yeah. Zero. All the zeros. 0.00 recurring.
Oh.
All the zeros. Yeah.
See, I'd say that was harsh, but appropriate.
No. I mean, how else can we make it more zero? I don't know. So, next.
Imago facius.
There you go.
I'm sitting at. Hang on, give me a second. Looking and oh,
He is a spotty kid.
he is.
Whoever drew this really made sure to spend some time putting some acne on that face.
Okay, quick. Now, me and my wife have been watching Mad Men. Have you
Right.
watched Mad Men?
I think I've seen the first series a few years ago.
Okay, so there's a character in Mad Men, Pete Campbell. It's got his name, Pete Campbell. He reminds me of Pete Campbell. He's the annoying one who,
Oh, I think I know who you mean, actually, yeah.
the little snotty one,
Yeah,
rich
yeah,
daddy. The image reminds me of him.
Yeah.
It's dislikable.
It is. It's not. It's really quite unpleasant.
It is.
It's not good. It looks like a face that you don't want to be near.
No, and that's not fair, because I feel like if, in real life, you'd feel bad for yourself for saying that, but he was so crap that,
He was. He's
enough.
also quite clearly just standing in a pool of water.
Oh, he is, yes. he's hiding in the barrel. This is
Yes, this is him in this barrel.
action shot.
I should probably explain for people who haven't seen it, but this is the image you find on Wikipedia, so look it up there. But the artist tried to do the bottom of his shoulders. He's put some detail there that just looks like ripples. So it looks like he's standing in a pool of water. I don't like it. I really don't like it. And I know we are biased. We sometimes give emperors that aren't very good no points in this round just because we don't like them. But I think this justifies a 0.
I think this justifies it. Yeah,
It is a bad image.
awful. It is awful.
Yeah, it is awful. Right, nothing.
0.
Tempo completo.
Okay, and how long does he last?
I'm guessing not long. I'm thinking like either months or a year or maybe 2 years. That's my sort of...
August 1203 to January 1204.
Less than a year.
Yeah, well, let's just call that half a year, shall we, for simplicity's sake. So that is 0.06 for this round.
I love a 0.0. I love when you go into the hundredths.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
I thought we were going to have a comically low score here, but I mean, he gets all those points for selling the empire. So what is his score?
15.06.
Which I'm sure he'll be very pleased with that, considering how he is arguably the worst emperor in all of Roman history.
Yeah, he's winning
I cannot
in
think
his own head.
I cannot think of a worse emperor than this kid. I remember how way back in the day we talked about how Commodus managed to get an empire that was riding through a golden age and just turned it and ran it into a brick wall. This is worse. I mean, the empire wasn't doing well, but he gave it away.
Yeah.
So, Gene Caesar?
Do they have a certain Gene Caesar?
Do you know what? I almost want to give it to him because he sold the empire.
He's so bad.
Yeah, but that's something you want to tell somebody. It's like, this guy, he sold the bloody empire. They had an empire, he sold it for nothing.
He just gave it away.
Yeah.
It is tempting, isn't it? I mean, it's...
And in the chariot race, he'll get decapitated in the first 30 seconds.
Yes, he will.
He won't even leave the starting line.
Because...
I'm sort of tempted.
Gene Caesar is not, are they a good emperor?
No.
It is, would you talk about him?
I'll talk about him. He's shocking.
I think he's one that's going to stick in the memory, isn't he?
Oh, yes. He's in the old memory banks.
Yeah. But I don't know. Can he actually get a Gene Caesar? Because apart from hiding in the barrel, he doesn't actually really do anything interesting apart from hiding in the barrel. He
sold the empire.
Selling the empire.
No one's done that before. That is unique. That is special. It's not, I wouldn't say special, but it's a big thing that's like groundbreakingly stupid. I think he should have it just for that. I really do.
I suppose Didius Julianus got it eventually, didn't he?
Yeah.
For buying the empire. So if you get it for buying the empire, maybe you should get it for selling the empire.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you know what? Screw it, it's our podcast. Let's do it.
Yes!
Just so we can see him be decapitated in the chariot race at the end.
I think that's a great idea.
He is not getting it for any good reason whatsoever. He is getting it because he is the worst. Hey.
There are listeners in the back.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well done, Alexios IV.
We mean that in the most pitying way possible.
You have Je ne Caesar, apparently.
You're on a level with Augustus.
Nero didn't get it.
No? I'm still annoyed at that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He was robbed. I agree. He was robbed. But there you go. That is the end of the Angelos dynasty. They
Oh, it's the end. Are we not having another episode for Isaac too?
No. You got Isaac II, who was just a bit rubbish. Then you had Alexios III, who was downright awful. And then you had Alexios IV, who was literally the worst emperor in history. It's not a good dynasty, is it?
They haven't shined. Let's say that.
Yeah. I mean, next we've got Alexios V Ducas, who kind of gets lumped in with the Angelos dynasty just because he's there at the end. But no. Then we have our Lascarid dynasty and our Paleologus dynasty, and then that's it. 15 episodes. That is all. But how have we got 15 episodes if the Empire's fallen? I hear you all ask. Well, you'll have to tune in to find out. Yes, you will. Right, thank you very much for listening.
Yep. And thank you for downloading us on Podbean, iTunes and Stitcher and Amazon Prime and the other one. What's the other one? Spotify.
Yes.
We're on that as well.
And thank you to all our Senate members who are helping out. I've released some, a lot, or all of the Roman Republic back catalogue into our Patreon. I don't know how much. We are recording this episode quite a bit in advance of releasing it, which is very unusual for us. So I can't give you the facts, but there's going to be some up there, if not all of them.
And if you fancy being a Senate member, you can donate money to us via Podbean or via Patreon. If you do it via Patreon, you get our American episodes as well, and also a special bonus extra, which we were not going to tell you about. The only way you will know is by joining the Senate.
Are we doing it? Are we going to do it?
Do what?
The thing you're not mentioning.
Well, we're going to do it, but I'm not going to say what it is.
Cool. Okay. It's just, I mean, I know we talked about it, but is this you saying, yes, I'm actually going to do this? Go on, just say yes, Jamie. You're committing. Yes,
I'm going to do it.
You're going to do it.
Screw it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Cool.
Live for our Patreon members.
Cool. So join the
Pain
Senate.
is just a feeling. It's fine. It's not really a thing. It's abstract.
Yeah, exactly.
Pain goes away.
So join the Senate if you want to know what Jamie's talking about. Pain's not actually involved. Don't worry. Anyway, so thank you very much for listening. And all that needs to be said is...
Why are you wearing red?
Goodbye.
Goodbye. So, Ricardo, what do you think? Is he really?
Keep your voice down. He's not that far away. You know what they say about people who can't see?
What do they say?
Shush, shush, Mercutio, shush. No, but... No, well, what I heard, he's not really blind.
Do you think he isn't?
No, apparently, Jeffio, the other day... Yeah, the idiot. He walked into the room and Enrico was juggling. Flaming torches, said Jeffio. 8 of them.
8?
Whilst dictating a letter.
I think he's having us on. Should we test it?
What? How do you test it?
Right, hold this grape in your hand.
What? Okay, yeah.
Throw it at him.
Are you having me on?
No, throw it. Just do it.
You want me to throw a grape?
I will give you...
At the Doge of Venice.
I will wash your wagon for a week if you throw it at him. I don't know what you do with your wagon.
What, You'll wash my wagon?
Yes. Even
For
the
a
wheels.
week? What does that mean? Like, you're going to do it every day for a week? Or, I mean, how does this...
Every day. I know what you're doing.
It doesn't... Oh, okay. Fine, okay. I'm not doing it now because he's looking this way. Oh, no, of course, that's what we're... okay,
Just go for it. Throw it. Oh my god, he caught it.
He wasn't even looking this way.
No.
But he is now. I can't look. Is he looking?
I don't know.
He's looking, isn't he?
He might be looking.
He's pointing at us.
Hi! Hey! Yo, Doge!
Oh, we're dead.